We're back, people. What is up? Breaking news just hit the timeline. You guys have probably seen it, but wow. Big trades for Miami coming in. Dolphins officially traded Jalen Ramsey for Minkah Fitzpatrick. Also, Jonnu kind of involved. It was, I guess you could just clump it all together. It seemed like it was two separate trades, but at the same time to the same team. Uh, Overall, I mean, just my initial thoughts. I'm not mad about it. Like, because realistically, like the Steelers got Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith, and a 2027 seventh round pick. Dolphins get Minkah Fitzpatrick and a 2027 fifth round pick. And for both players, like I was expecting both of them to get traded. And if you think about it, I was expecting them both to get traded, and I thought they would both get around fifth round pick value. You get a fifth for basically one of them, and the other one you get Minkah. So, and like, I know some people have had bad because, Minkah left. That's the biggest question mark for me is, does Minkah really want to be here? Because I loved Minkah as a player. I loved him coming out of Alabama. I think the biggest thing here is Minkah's like, just the younger version of Jalen Ramsey, but plays more safety than corner. Both have versatility. I'll have the Minkah Fitzpatrick film breakdown out tomorrow. I'll have to watch that film tonight. So that'll be interesting. But I do think Minkah's the best player out of this bunch. I talked about Jonnu. I think losing Jonnu is probably the biggest, thing that sucks here. I like Jonnu as a player, but I did talk about why I think he would get less work in this offense this year, just because I think the Dolphins want to run more 11 personnel. The tight end, he can't block. It does suck to lose his value in the underneath stuff, but a lot of his touches were low value plays, just based on what they're using for. But wow, you know what's funny? Okay, I need to find this tweet, but there was a tweet. I saw it a few weeks ago, and I thought it was like, I wonder if this is true. I don't know why. It just randomly popped up on my timeline. It was a random Steelers fan account that didn't have like crazy amount of followers. And he tweeted this exact thing, that the Dolphins and the Steelers would trade, and the Dolphins would get Minkah Fitzpatrick back after trading away Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. And I remember seeing that a few weeks ago, so I'm excited to see that tweet pop up on my timeline again and be like, I told you so, because that guy did predict it, and I saw that a few weeks ago, and I'm like, that would be interesting. Actually, I don't have many Dolphins players jersey. I only have probably like 5 overall, and one of them is Minkah Fitzpatrick. So like, I loved Minkah coming out of Alabama. Like that versatility. The Dolphins played him a lot in the slot. He played as like a nickel corner. In Pittsburgh, he played a lot of single high free safety stuff. I'm sure he'll mostly play free safety with the Dolphins, but I think we will see a little bit of versatility usage out of him. The Dolphins had a need for safety as well as corner. That actually makes the safety room even more interesting. I do think if Minkah and like Melifonwu are your starting safety duo, that's actually a very interesting combo, because Minkah, they have very different skill sets, and Minkah can play as like a single high guy, and Melifonwu can play as like more down in the box. And then you can still run like 3 safety sets, move them around. Overall, like, I wonder what the cap implications could be, because we don't know what the cap's going to look like. It looks like Ramsey got a raise. I don't know if you guys saw that. Ramsey got a raise by like 1.5 million or something like that. And then Jonnu got a 1-year, 12 million extension, which the Dolphins just weren't going to give him a 12 mil extension for 1 year. If it was a little bit less than that, I could have seen them keeping him. But wow. Yeah, let me see you go. I'm so excited. It seems like you guys are mostly happy about it. We can use that fifth and get Pitts. Yeah, I don't know about. I think the Dolphins need to find more of an all-around tight end, but told it for non-block. Yeah, agree, Garrett. Bama fan, yeah. Also recruiting. Yeah, no. I will say this. I feel like Greer usually does a pretty good job with the trades, at least in terms of value on each side. He usually doesn't get fleeced. I don't love, trading away Jonnu, but we talked about, that part. He did, I don't know. Yeah, it seemed like it was more of maybe, I guess, a Flores issue when he was with Miami. It's just, crazy stuff I'm trying to see. Now I wonder if the Dolphins will end up signing a corner, because I saw people talking about this as like a potential tank move, but I don't really think so. Like, yeah, losing Ramsey and Jonnu, I don't think it's a full-on tank. I do still think the Dolphins are like doing that soft reset stuff, but like if it was a full-on tank, I don't think they would have traded for Minkah. And then I also think the draft pick they got wouldn't have been a 2027 one because that's 2 years out, you know? Like, that's like the interesting dynamic is the 2 picks involved here were 2027s, not 2026, which is very, very interesting. I knew you were going to say all around tight end. Yeah, because having Kyle Pitts here is pretty much pointless. Like, he really doesn't do the things well that, because he's also not a great yak guy. At least not anymore, I think, after his injury. How did they make, yeah, I think I saw Minkah's, it looks like Minkah is on 2 years of a contract, so I wonder, we'll see if they do any restructuring with Minkah. It hasn't been anything announced yet, but it seems Minkah's here for 2025 and 2026. He has 2 years on his contract, and the pay was around like, it was like 14 million for 1 year and like 16, 17 million for another year. So, and the Dolphins can afford to do that, especially after moving off of Jonnu and Jalen Ramsey. Anthony Weaver, yeah, I see someone saying, Hassan Patel saying Anthony Weaver's found as Kyle Hamilton. Yeah, if Minkah is being okay with moved around, because Minkah can, he's definitely someone with that skill set that can play that Kyle Hamilton type role. It's just we'll see if he actually wants to do that, because I think early on in Miami he didn't when he was with Flores, but they were using him as like, they didn't even allow him to really play safety though. I feel like if he'll be fine if he can play safety and then move to other spots, but safety's still like his main spot. Yeah, they got Minkah in a 2027 fifth. So here's like the exact details. Actually, I can pull it up. I can just show you guys. Go here. Nope. Let's see. Exact details right here. Okay. So yeah, full terms. The Steelers Dolphins blockbuster. Steelers get Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith, and a 2027 7th rounder. Dolphins get Minkah Fitzpatrick in a 2027 5th rounder. So late round pick swap, but I mean, giving up a 7th, I don't really care about. Getting a 5th back, I think it's solid. I mean, getting because I just equate to this: Ramsey for Minkah, and then a 5th for Jonnu is kind of how I'm seeing it. And then they threw in a 7th. And I think getting a 5th for Jonnu is pretty solid if you think about where, you know, he's also getting an extension that plays a part of it. And then also, you know, Jonnu and Ramsey are both 30 plus, while Minkah is 28, I believe still. Minkah has been pretty good. I don't know where he's ranked in terms of like PFF stuff. I don't put too much value in PFF, but Minkah is still like a quality player. Like, I know Pittsburgh fans are mad about losing Minkah. I will watch the film and let you know like exactly how I feel about Minkah. I haven't watched a ton recently, so we'll see. But yeah. Let's see what CK Perez says. So many layers to straight from Miami. Civil war between GM Chris Beard and ex-head coach Brian Flores had a historical context. Flores and Minkah couldn't get along. Neither Greer nor Russ wanted to trade Minkah, but it became necessarily. Apparently, they never forgot that. That is interesting, yeah. Because Greer did draft Minkah, but then Flores forced to trade him away. Greer's like, I wanted him back. That's crazy. Yeah. I do think the Nick Westbrook-Akine addition did make them feel better about trading away Jonnu, because Jonnu was just basically a big slot receiver in this offense. You know, he's listed as a tight end, but he doesn't really play tight end. Nick Westbrook can play that kind of role. He can also he even does, like, as a receiver, blocks better than Jonnu did as, like, a tight end. You also have, you know, Malik that can play as the slot. I think that's why they felt comfortable moving on from Jonnu. Julian Hill is bad. What do we do? Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, Julian Hill is not good. I mean, either way, whether Jonnu was here, that doesn't really fix that problem, because as I'm talking about, Jonnu is just a big slot receiver. Julian Hill is an inline blocking tight end. Your inline blocking isn't fixed whether Jonnu's here or not. You know what I'm saying? And then you replace Jonnu with Nick Westbrook-Akine. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. Yeah. Is anyone wearing 29? I'm trying to remember if anyone's wearing 29 at this point. Or does Minkah get his old number back? Yeah, as I talked about, dude, I literally saw a Steelers fan account tweet out this exact trade, Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu going for like Minkah, and then I think like they even talked about there being some potential picks involved. And I saw that weeks ago, and I just was like, why is this randomly popping up on my feed? Usually I wouldn't put any stock in it, but I don't know. The guy seemed confident, and he was right. Minkah's 29. I looked it up and it said 28, but I think he might be turning 29 this year. Let me see. Yeah, he's 28. He'll turn 29 in November, I believe. Yeah, he'll turn 29 in November. Yeah, so Dolphin safety room is Minkah Fitzpatrick, Melifanu, Ashton Davis, Elijah Campbell, Dante Trader Jr., and Patrick Morris. Yeah, the safety room, wow. I mean, now that you have these extra bodies, who gets pushed out? Because now one of the, like, you could see, because now there's not a guaranteed roster spot for like a Dante Trader Jr., a Patrick McMorris, Ashton Davis. Like, one of them could easily get bumped off. I hope it's not one of the young guys. I hope they still keep the young guys, still try to develop them. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy that it's funny that this was like first put on Twitter as like Jalen Ramsey traded the Steelers, and then they added Minkah later. Where like, honestly, Ramsey being a part of the trade is like one of the least surprising parts. Like, it's pretty funny. Let's see. Jeremy Fowler tweeted this out. He said, Minkah Fitzpatrick still a top 10 safety, but evaluators around the league have seen some decline, and trade whispers regarding his future first surfaced in March. They've seen a decline in Ramsey too, but if versatility becomes valuable, he can play on outside nickel or safety. Interesting. Yeah, I'm seeing people talk about potentially trading for Michael Mayer. That's a trade I could get behind. I've talked about that one. That's one of the only trades I've been like super pro for Dolphins making. Michael Mayer would be very interesting. Wow. The Dolphins send out okay, this is from Spot Track, who does the cap. The Dolphins send out $25.2 million of salary in this trade, bringing back $15.5 million on Fitzpatrick deals. So they free up cap in a messy situation with Ramsey, securing a starter and a mid-round pick in the process. I mean, Spot Track, when you explain it like that, that's makes me feel even better about it, because they not only that's also another part of this trade, because I didn't know the cap situation until I see Spot Track's tweet this and they do all the cap stuff. So not only do we, get Minkah and a mid-round pick, we do also free up cash and cap, which is a nice situation. What would it cost to get Mayer a fourth? I think that's pretty reasonable, Alex. That's something I would guess. Fourth is probably the highest I would do, though. I don't know if I would love trading more than that. If they traded more than that, say if they traded like a third, I would like to get something back, like some type of pick, because I think that's a little too much. But I know that they do have Bauer, so hopefully they would be pretty willing to move off of it. We don't need the young guys because we can draft someone better next year in the same round. I mean, that's a possibility, but you're still trying to hit on those young guys in those draft picks, because then those other ones just become. Oh yeah, Dante Trader's currently 29. I forgot about that. I think it would still. You're still trying to see what you have in those young guys. You just drafted one. One's a rookie. The other one's on his second year, and they've both one's shown some promise, and the other one I think you're pretty high on in terms of getting him in the 5th round. So I still think you're trying to see what you have out of those guys. Like I would rather cut someone like Ashton Davis than the young guys personally. Do we take this cap flexibility, bolster corners, Asante, Rasul? I think it's a possibility. I think Asante, it will be probably. It said in July is when he'll check back in. I don't know which time in July, because he still has the injury concerns. I'm sure they're going to check in. I've talked about it. I don't think they need to go after a corner, but if they did add one, I'm not going to be mad about it. Not Stan Minkah Fitzpatrick, dirty player. Oh, is that because he took out Chubb's knee? I don't think Minkah's a dirty player. I don't think he purposely. Yeah, I can see why people would be upset overall with some parts of the trade, but I'm not, because I think the part people are upset about is the Jonnu aspect, because everyone was expecting Ramsey to be gone, obviously. But I mean, I'm happy about it as long as Fitzpatrick wants to be here. If he wants to be here, then I'm happy about it. Kyle Pitts getting traded to Miami later today. Bet on it. I don't know if they're later today. They're just going all in today. Yeah. I think the thing with Jonnu is that his value did get a little bit overinflated last season just because the offense kind of had to force feed him because they couldn't run the ball. They had to throw underneath, use the screens and stuff. And I think his like value got overinflated because of that. He's still a solid player. But I think some people kind of get caught up in stats at time and realize like, hey, there's a value in this offense being able to block and stuff. So yeah. It is interesting. We've basically put more value into safety than corner with this trade. Which honestly, that's usually not how the NFL goes, but I wonder, thinking about Weaver's defense, and especially with how valuable Kyle Hamilton was in that Ravens defense, I wonder if they put that more value at safety with that move. Interesting. Honestly, we should have tried to get Darnell Washington back in the trade, but they probably didn't want to trade Darnell. I would have taken Darnell instead of the 5th. Honestly, with more cap, I would try to add O-line depth too. O-line depth is one of the biggest potential holdbacks for this season. Honestly, I think even more so than corner, not having decent O-line depth will be the biggest issue with this team, other than like a Tua injury, obviously. Does Weaver want to play 3 safeties at the same time? Yeah, that's another good point, Brent. We've talked about that a few different times in the past, but yeah. Safety. Dolphins ran 3 safety sets last year. There was a few different games where they ran 3 safety sets like a bunch in those games, and those were the games where like corners were hurt. The Ravens have a history of running 3 safety sets, so with players like Minkah and Melifanu on the team, those guys offer some versatility as safeties that can do some like slot stuff for you if you really wanted. So I do think that would be this move definitely would point towards more 3 safety sets, especially when you look at the safety room compared to the corner room. Realistically, Darnold and Farrell Brown are kind of the same player. Yeah, but they do need those types of players in the offense. And I think Darnell is just like a younger version that has like more upside. Realistically, you're replacing Jonnu with Nick Westbrook-Akine. And then honestly, the Jonnu replacement on the roster will either be Jalen Conyers or Tanner Connor in terms of like a receiving tight end. I don't agree that Greer did well here. Ramsey got a raise at his age, right for him. Dolphins lose Ramsey and Jonnu for getting Minkah back. Can't see the Dolphins won this trade. Well, Minkah is the youngest of these players and the best. Still, I would say better of these players. And basically, you traded a 5th for one of the other guys. Kind of how I'm looking at it. And I think getting a 5th for either, if you're thinking for Jonnu or Ramsey, was kind of what I was expecting. Like 5th just felt like especially with how it was going. Ramsey was leaving no matter what. I understand the frustration with the Jonnu part, but as I've talked about, I don't know if that's going to be as big of a problem as people think. As long as they can get back to more of that 2023 form, be able to run the ball, having tight ends on the field that can at least run block somewhat is like the biggest thing. Yeah, I don't think it's like a major win, by the way. I think I've seen some people being like, I've seen some people say like, we fleeced them, they fleeced us. I don't think that's true for either side. Like, I actually don't think it's bad really for either. Plus, also, Dolphins save cap and cash. So, Greer fell out with Flores, Minkah fell out with Flores. Yeah, Yeah, for sure, Jared. That. It seems like there won't be, and I'm sure this. It seems like the Steelers had a good relationship with Minkah too, and I don't know if they would just trade him away to a team he didn't like. He was like, I don't want to go there. Maybe this will be the way of like, hey, we're back. Yeah, Dolphins will go heavy 11 personnel. I might make a video on this where I talk about 11 personnel and like go over what the value Nick Westbrook-Akine brings, because I think Nick Westbrook-Akine and Malik Washington can replace like a lot of that underneath receiving production that Jonnu had. Like I think Westbrook-Akine and Malik Washington can get a lot of that stuff. They overpaid to it, yeah. I mean, they overpaid Ramsey. Probably not. Probably didn't keep his out in South Beach. Ramsey would have stayed. Ramsey isn't leaving because of pay. Ramsey's leaving because he had a fallout with McDaniel. So Ramsey was leaving no matter what. It had nothing to do with the guys they paid. Now, Jonnu, you can argue that, but like, even if they didn't pay those guys, like, I don't think they would have given Jonnu a big extension. I think they. I mean, that does also play into them paying last year, because I think that's something they learned their lesson in, is stop paying the aging veterans that you have under contract. Like, stop giving them extensions when you don't need to, and raises at the same time. But shout out Jonnu. Had a really good season for Miami. Don't want to undersell that, but I think his production can be replaced with what the offense has. More so the tight end issue. The issue with the tight end room, and still in my opinion, is the blockers need to step up. It's much more valuable with what this offense needs. Yeah, Jalen was gone. Personally, I don't even think they need to add Kyle Pitts to even replace Jonnu. Yeah, so now we have to look at some potential free agent options. People talk about potentially taking that, yeah. Let's see. Jonnu doesn't fit the offense. Jonnu fits the receiving part of the offense very well, because the Dolphins' tight end positions, what they really value is yak ability, like toughness in yak ability, and Jonnu's really good at that. But the other thing they really value is your inline blocking ability, and Jonnu didn't have that. That's why someone like George Kittle is so good in the Niners offense, because of his yak ability and his blocking. Like, those are his like two dominant elite traits that he has. That's why he's so good. That's why I've been like looking for someone. Like, that's why I wanted to take Tyler Warren at one. Like, I was a big Tyler Warren fan. Love taking Kenneth Grant. Still love taking Kenneth Grant. But like, I would have been totally down to take Tyler Warren, because he's someone that is really good with the ball in his hands. Isn't quite an elite blocker, but has like, I think, high upside as a blocker. But that's why like it's really hard to find those players that are good at both. That's why George Kittle's so rare. But yeah, he's a really good fit on the receiving side of the offense, but the other side, no. I mean, Christopher, it's been heavily reported from like a lot of different people with sources that him and McDaniel didn't get along. And if you just listen to a McDaniel interview, I've never seen McDaniel get so short about a player before. Like, they clearly had a fallout, because McDaniel is usually, very open with talking about stuff. But like, when it came to Ramsey, he's like, was just like, I don't care. Wow. Can't believe Minkah's back. Minkah wore 39 with Pittsburgh, right? I guess he could come back and wear 39 with Miami. Yeah. Yeah. I would prefer, if they were going to trade for a tight end, I would prefer to trade for Mayer than Pitts. Better fit wise. And I just don't think Pitts is the same after his injury. He still doesn't look like that. I'll say this though: if you are a fantasy football person, Jonnu being gone, that raises the stock for Achane and Jalen Waddle in fantasy. Because Waddle's going to get more targets and Achane's going to get more underneath dump offs. Tyreek will still get like the same amount, I think. I'm actually very excited to watch this Minkah film because I have not watched Minkah film in a hot minute. And I loved Minkah coming out. Minkah's voucher is due $15.5 million in 2025, so the Dolphins have freed up about $25.2 million in cash obligations for 2025, accepting back $15 million for a net savings of roughly $10 million. With this new wrinkle, they are set to underspend cash to cap by $34 million, according to CK Parrott. They really are going to need those young guys to step up that corner, though. But also, it's need this young guys to step up that corner. But it's mostly, it might even be less about the young guys stepping back corner and more about your defensive front getting quick pressure. I don't know about Jalen Waddle. I hit 15 drops last season. I can just tell you from people that I know, that I have talked to behind the scenes, that have sources. Like, I don't have any like crazy sources, but I know people who definitely have sources, and I've talked to them, and like that McDaniel and Ramsey beef, I can tell you right now, that shit was real. That was real. Oh man. Yeah. Oh yeah. W's trolling Tim. He's trolling. He's making fun of the 15 drop thing. Theo Weiss Jr. Armstrong can make up Johnny's production. I wouldn't say they would make up Johnny's production, but they would also, it would be more the Westbrook Akine and Malik Washington. But I do think one of those guys will make the team and, you know, be a part of the thing. Wish we would have had a chance at Laporta. Don't get me started. Laporta is who I wanted in that draft so bad in the second round, but he went before we even picked. Imagine if Laporta fell to Miami and they took Laporta. That would have been Laporta, not Cam Smith, because that was the draft we took Cam Smith. And then we still got Achane in the third, Laporta and Achane. Oh, it would have been the best draft for me. And then we didn't even have a first round pick. Yeah. I'm very interested to see this Minkah Fitzpatrick interview when he returns and when he has to say about being here. Because I do feel like Minkah's always been, I feel like he was always known as like a high character guy, except for like that issue he had with Flores and then leaving and stuff. But I feel like outside of that, he was always known as like a high character guy. So I wonder what it'll be like. Yeah. Just saw someone mention Cole Kmet. That would be interesting too, actually. Do you conceive a Tyreek trade for a premium cornerback one? I don't know. I don't think I think Tyreek's trade value is probably at like an all-time low, so I don't think they're going to get that much for him. Has Minkah posted on social media? I don't know. I only use Twitter, so I haven't seen anything. And I don't know if Minkah's a big social media guy. You'll play 3 safeties on defense watch. Yeah, I agree. There will definitely be a lot of 3 safety sets. Tanner Connor will start at 10. I don't know about that. He could get more playing time this year, though. I think technically the starter at tight end will be the inline blocking tight ends because they will play. I think they'll play majority of snaps in this offense. Like I think Pharaoh Brown and Julian Hill, guys that are inline blockers, will play more snaps in this offense because I think the Dolphins want tight ends on the field that can block rather than just receivers. I think those guys will play like specific roles at specific times, but I think they feel confident running 11 personnel and having, you know, a guy like Nick Westbrook-Akine out there. Yeah, I mean, shout out to Jonnu. Shout out Johnny Smith. A GIF 1 minute ago. Does Minkah Fitzpatrick have Twitter? Minkah. Shit. Nah. He hasn't posted on Twitter since 2023. It's probably on what, like IG or something? Fat Tua or lean Tua? How about like in between Tua? Big enough to maybe withhold some injury, but lean enough to at least have some pocket mobility. I don't need him to have enough mobility where he needs to like run like crazy, but he needs to have enough mobility where he can move around the pocket. Oh wow, I came on here for 30 after hearing that all we got for Smith was a 5th rounder. I mean, a 5th rounder for Jonnu is probably as good as you can expect for a 30-year-old receiving tight end, to be honest. Maybe a 4th would, but like you weren't getting anything higher than a 4th for Jonnu. Hurts to say, yeah. I don't think Julian Hill will be as bad as he was last year, but like obviously I'm not expecting any like. I think Julian Hill will play closer to his first year where he was at least, you know, somewhat serviceable. We just need someone that can, you know, have some decent blocking, and I think having a better O-line should help out that tight end group. But I think Farrell Brown will be more consistent overall as a player, like as a blocker at least. The 5th was for Ramsey. Yeah, you can look at it either way. 5th for Ramsey, 5th for Jonnu, Minkah for the other one. This truth or cap? It's truth. It's official. All the big people have tweeted it. Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, everyone. So yeah, Minkah Fitzpatrick is a Miami Dolphin. Dolphins get a 5th round pick. Also, and then they gave up Ramsey and Jonnu. Also at like a 2027 7th. Wow. I'm seeing old highlights of Minkah in a Dolphins uniform. Wow, that's so long ago. So long ago. Okay. Let's see. Appreciate you, man. Shout out the Bahamas. Yeah, so I will have a Minkah Fitzpatrick breakdown tomorrow. I will also probably do a video on like 11 personnel sometime this week, because I think with Jonnu gone, I wanted to focus on like how Nick Westbrook-Akine and, you know, things that they can do that would replace Jonnu's production, and why like losing Jonnu is probably not as big as a deal as some people will think just on first glance, because of the value of the tight end position. Because I think when people say tight end, like he's an F tight end, which is basically a big slot, where the other guys were on the roster are more so wide tight ends, except for like Tanner Connor. And the Dolphins, I think, value that wide tight end stuff. What do you think about Newsome from Cleveland? I'm pretty sure Greg Newsome got benched last year. So I think he's had his struggles. He's been like up and down, inconsistent. I did like him a lot coming out of college, out of Northwestern, and I know he went in the first round, but I don't think he ever like played up to that. If the Dolphins were to like make a move for it, I don't think I would offer too much. I think if they were going to add a corner, I'd probably rather just go after a free agent, not have to give up a draft pick type thing. Yeah, Minkah's still good. But when I do the film breakdown, I'll give you guys my full thoughts, because like I haven't watched a ton of him yet, so at least not in a while. Jalen Conyers, yeah. Conyers will have definitely with Jonnu gone. That definitely gives Conyers a much. I think that raises his chances of making the roster a lot higher. Oh, here it is, guys. Tom Pelissero just tweeted out 2 minutes ago. The Dolphins are now in conversations with multiple teams about acquiring a tight end after sending Jonnu Smith to Pittsburgh. Per sources, a wild start to the holiday week could get wilder. So now it seems like we are after a tight end very quickly. Who will it be? Personally, I would hope for Michael Mayer. You guys seem on the Kyle Pitts train, at least a few of you. But yeah. The Dolphins, yeah. Looking at wait, yeah, the Dolphins. Do the Dolphins have anyone on defense over age 30 now? Because Sealer's about to turn 30, I think. Yeah. Michael Mayer, Mark Andrews, Kyle Pitts, Dallas Goedert, Cole Kmet. I could get on board with a lot of those guys, honestly. It just obviously it depends on the value, but wow. Oof. Would be interesting. I mean, if you use if you basically trade away basically what you got back, I could get on board with that. Wow. This feels like some Madden shit going on here, honestly. We'll see what it ends up being. I wonder who let me hear what you guys are thinking. Let's hear some guesses in the chat for the tight end. I think I seen a few people say Cole Kmet on Twitter. The Bears just took Colston Loveland at 10th overall. Cole Kmet, I could see that happening. I'd have to watch Cole Kmet because I don't know if he's much of a blocker either, but I think I would still prefer someone like Michael Mayer. But I wonder if the Bears would be willing to move on from that. Yeah, Mayer. Yep, I agree, Irving. Wow. I'm behind the Cats, but this year they lost first because of Russ. Yeah, Mayer's for a fifth. If Mayer is for a fifth, I'm all over that, Kenny. All over that. Fourth, I'm down. Anything higher than a fourth, I'm probably looking in other directions. Nah, Irving. Jonnu cannot block. Jonnu can't block at all. He was pretty much non-existent as a blocker. That's why he got traded away because he added no value to the half the game. Great receiver, one of the best yak tight ends in the league. Give him all credit there, but just no blocking ability. They pretty much never asked him to block in line too, which is a huge down point for Miami because it's so important. I can't believe Minkah's back, dude. That's actually crazy. Chego Conquo, Dawson Knox. I mean, we're not going to trade for Dawson Knox. Tyler Higbee, Noah Fant. Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah, this is a weird tweet. someone tweeted out, could Miami start 0-6 this season and listed the first 6 games? And it's like, Even if you don't think Miami's good, why would you list like that's it's such a soft schedule to open the season? Doesn't make any sense to use that as your, even if you think they're going to be bad, why would you use that as your example? Literally 4 of those 6 teams are like not very good. Yeah, I just talked about it, Casey. You probably missed it, but yeah, just talked about Tom Pelissero. Just tweeted out, who's it gonna be? Let's hear you. We got the guesses going on, but personally, I'm hoping Michael Mayer because I actually think he fits the offense better. He's not like a great blocker or anything, but he's at least equal to what you have on the roster. Would be a better blocker than Jonnu. Can at least play in line, and also at least has some receiving value. So like he would be your best all around tight end on the roster. Absolutely not in Cole Kmet. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge Cole Kmet fan either, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of the people they talk to about. Like, because I think I was not a huge Cole Kmet when he came out of Notre Dame. But he hasn't been horrible for the Bears. I was just saying it's a possibility because of them just drafting Loveland at 10th overall. Wow. I've seen people say Chigo Okonkwo from Tennessee. I don't know if you guys know him. Chigo Okonkwo is kind of a Jonnu Smith type. So if they wanted to replace Jonnu with like a younger type Jonnu, that's who they could go for. I've seen that a couple of times mentioned on Twitter. Like very athletic, fast type of tight end. I think he's in a contract year, so it could be willing to trade him and you could potentially like extend him type thing. Wow. He would be another Smythe. Well, Cole Kmet definitely has more receiving ability than Smythe, but yeah, I don't think he's like anything special. Because Smythe has like no receiving really. Cole Kmet has at least had some receiving type plays in his career. We know Minkah's mom is cool with this trade. Oh yeah, I remember that. Wow. I can't believe I need to find that tweet, dude. There was a tweet like weeks ago I saw, and it was about basically this exact trade that happened. The Dolphins would get Minkah. It was like a random Steelers account. I don't even think like they had a lot of followers or anything. It's gonna be impossible to find though. I don't think I liked the tweet, or maybe it's in my likes. I gotta see if I can find that. It's gonna be so long ago. Oof. Kind of funny though. Yeah. Any oh yeah. Appreciate you, my man. Yeah, drop a like, helps out the videos and the streams and stuff and all that good stuff. Appreciate you guys. But yeah, any final questions, things to talk about? I think because I'm gonna go watch some film, make a film. I might make even that 11 personnel Nick Westbrook Akine video at some point this week to talk about how I think Westbrook can replace a lot of the stuff Jonnu was doing, and then you can also get some stuff from like Malik. Let's see. I'm probably gonna scroll. I'm scrolling through my Twitter likes to see if I actually like that. I want to give this guy some credit because he called it weeks ago. But man, yeah, I don't know if I ended up liking that tweet or not. Every single time he gets tackled, he lands on his forehead. Oh yeah, I always think of that clip where he got like flipped, lands on his forehead. He just had no yak ability. That was no yak ability and wasn't a good enough blocker to keep him around. You know, That's what I'm talking about. If you got it, blocking and yak is most important in the system. That's why I was like, Jonnu's gonna thrive as a receiver in the Dolphins system because his yak ability, which he did. It's just the blocking ability holds him back from being a full-on player, you know? Doing Michael Mayer would be a good fit video. Yeah, that's a good idea too. I can definitely I'll definitely watch some Michael Mayer film. And they might use I think Melifonwu and Minkah is actually a really interesting safety duo because I think their skill sets complement each other really nicely. Because Minkah has single high ability, and like he spent most of his career with the Steelers, he spent playing single high. Melifonwu, pretty much the only thing he doesn't do is play single high. I don't think that's really his game, but he can play as like a matchup piece versus tight ends. He can play down in the box. They can both play like 2 high looks if that's needed. So I think they complement each other pretty nicely. And I think the best part about the Minkah thing is really no one on the roster was like a true single high guy. Ashton Davis could do some of it. Some of them could play single high from time to time, but Minkah is a guy that like can play as a true single high post field safety. And that's pretty much something that safety room just didn't have. Apparently there's serious concern about Myers. Yeah, Michael Mayer, he had, I forget what it was, so I don't want to comment on it, but I know there was something like last year that there was some struggles. If we can get Pitts for a 7th, I'd be down. But yeah, I'm not super high on the Kyle Pitts fit for Miami. Yeah. Definitely an exciting trade. Look out for the Minkah Fitzpatrick film breakdown tomorrow. Because I'll probably even make it tonight. It'll be members only, but then I'll post it tomorrow for everyone to see. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to see that. Fun trade. I mean, when this stuff happens, at least it's fun. We expected Jalen to be gone. We were even expecting Jonnu to be gone now for a few weeks with all the trade noise. I think getting Minkah back is pretty exciting. I loved Minkah coming out of the draft. I know it didn't really work out with him his initial time, so hopefully we can kind of turn that thing around. I think this is Chris Greer's way of being like, going against the Brian Flores stuff. Because Flores, I think, is the reason he left in the first place. Indubitably. Yeah. We gave y'all a safety for a guy y'all were getting rid of. Yeah. I'll say this though. I don't think it's a super like wait, what did this hot take? Be a Pro Bowler and the Dolphins get treated like shit. Happy for my guys though, go ball out. That's what Raheem Mostert said. And Raheem. Pretty sure we gave you didn't the Dolphins give him a raise after his Pro Bowl season? Hey, you didn't really capitalize, my guy. But shout out Raheem. You didn't really capitalize next season though. And you kind of lost us a couple games with fumbling. But yeah. Yeah, it definitely is at least makes, because this is the slowest part of the offseason. Would Pitts be just a younger Jonnu? No, because they're both receiving tight ends, but they're different style receiving tight ends. Like Jonnu is like that compact. He gets the ball in his hands. He's like a bowling ball, bounce off tacklers type of tight end. Very good with the ball in his hands. Pitts isn't really like, Pitts is more of like a seam stretch the field type of tight end, which can bring some value. But he's more of a Like, remember how we like struggled to use Gesicki? He's not exactly Gesicki, but he plays more of a Gesicki type role. Kyle Pitts is like an in-between of Mike Gesicki and Jonnu Smith, like receiving on like the receiving like scale of players. He did right. He's just salty. I mean, you know, is what it is. Just the nature of the business. I understand it. You know, it's tough to. I mean, he's an aging running back. He had a great year. Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow with the Minkah Fitzpatrick video. Appreciate y'all.